Hello, my name is Saremi, and today I'm bringing you another video on the Pokemon VGC. Today I want to talk about leads I couldn't make work. These were pairs of Pokemon that I thought I could start off the game with, but personally I could not make them work. They either had success or they were my own ideas, but I just could not get them to do what they needed to do. Alright, first up, I dubbed this one Speed. So I had an idea of Whimsicott and Dragapult. These are two pretty fast Pokemon. If I were to set up the Tailwind, then these guys would be the absolute fastest. And Dragapult has good damage, has a good typing, so I was hoping that this was going to be really good for me. Unfortunately, I could not make it work. So let me tell you a bit of the upsides on these guys. Whimsicott is a really fast Tailwind user because of his prankster ability. It also has Moonblast, which does really good damage. Problem is, of course, once it takes a hit, I needed it to switch out, which I couldn't. For Dragapult, it has Dragon Darts, which has smart targeting, so if an opponent protects or they switch into a fairy type, it would automatically target the other one twice, the other Pokemon twice. So that was really great there. It has a really good move pool. The problem I found with it is it does not have the choice band. I believe it's the attack one. We only have choice scarf. So what lies in the problem here is I just wasn't getting enough damage off. I was able to get off the tailwind. I was able to get off the dragon darts, but I wasn't KOing. Moonblast was really good to get some more damage off, but once I got tailwind up, I really wanted to switch out Whimsicott. So that way I could set up Tailwind later or use Helping Hand or Encore. Actually, I don't know if it learns Helping Hand, I can't remember. But use something else later on, which just kind of left me a little vulnerable. It doesn't have its own good pivot move, and you're not just supposed to switch it out, you want to switch it out safely, which was really hard to do a lot of times. Dragapult was getting a lot of damage off, but just not enough. It wasn't KOing a Pokemon if I was using another dragon move or if I was using some kind of coverage move. It still wasn't doing enough. It was just barely not doing enough. If I had the choice band, I feel like it would pick up a lot more KOs and this lead would be a lot better. I was running choice scarf on it just in case I couldn't get tailwind up, in case I couldn't lead tailwind, just to get some more speed on there. But I think the dragon claw would have been better, except it just doesn't boost the ghost type move that you would run on it. You can also learn flamethrower, I believe. It would learn the fire type move, and I wanted to run that fire type move as well, just as a surprise, but I couldn't do it. What I've seen people do now mostly is lead Dragapult as a support Pokemon. It learns a good amount of supporting moves, it learns the screens, it learns Will-O-Wisp. The Dragon Darts is still a really good move. So I've seen it run mainly as a support Pokemon. So these two are run as support Pokemon separately, which I've seen a little success with running Whimsicott as its own fella. I think I might run Dragapult as a support. I really do like this Pokemon. And I've seen recently that, what is it? Is it Como and Dragapult? It's Dragapult and some other Pokemon has been having some success recently. Alright, next up, we got Setup. So I was running Mega Floette and Mousehold. People were seeing a lot of success early on with Mega Floette. It's an incredibly powerful Pokemon. It just does so much damage. So I was running this build that I had seen with Mega Floette and Mousehold for support. Now Mega Floette has Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam. They did insane damage, especially after getting a Calm Mind up. Only problem I was having was the way I had it built. It was a little too fragile and too slow. And then Mousehold has great redirection with Follow Me, has an amazing ability that lessens the damage his partner is going to take. Only problem is it doesn't have wide guard, so spread moves, which were used quite often, especially with Charizard, and then Rock Slide on Aerodactyl or Garchomp or Tyranitar. Yeah, those kind of moves, they were something I couldn't deal with. So my main problem here was I didn't know when to set up and when to not set up, right? If I got a Calm Mind or two off, Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam, they were just going to do a clean sweep. Problem was, a lot of times it was hard to see an opportunity to set up or just do direct damage to try to pick up a KO if I saw Garchomp out in the open or any other dragon type, dark type. And Flow, it was just because it was constantly getting KO'd by spread moves, which is just something Mousehold could not deal with. Even though a lot more damage than it could have without Mousehold, I was just not able to get off enough setup or just do enough damage if I was just trying to do it with no setup. Of course, what I've seen now is just Floette with other Pokemon, no Mousehold, no setting up. You just use a double Mega team like Mega Floette or Mega Charizard Y or Mega Floette and some other Mega, and you just Mega Evolve it, Light of Ruination or Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, Draining Kiss, that sort of stuff to keep it alive, just to get off massive damage and then run it a little faster so that way it can try to outspeed some other threats. I don't know if I will continue to use Mega Floette. It's a cool Pokemon. but it's not one of my favorite ones, and I'm not particularly keen towards double Mega Evolution teams. I don't like them very much. I'd rather just run one singular Mega Evolution. I understand the point of double Mega Evolution, it's just not my cup of tea. Alright, next one. This one is tragic. It was a gimmick with Conkeldurr and Mega Scovillain. I really thought I had something here. I really thought I had something unique, something that was going to take people by surprise, something that was going to be really good and really niche. So we have Mega Scovillain. It has an amazing ability. Anything that hit, whether it be a special move or a physical move, contact, no contact, whatever. If it gets hit by a Pokemon, it's getting burned. And it has a great move pool. Leech Seed, Rage Powder, what is this? Spicy Extract is a special move. That's really great. The downside is that while it's bulky if you invest it correctly, it's not bulky enough. It's just missing a little more bulk on there. And then we got Conkeldurr, which got a Mach Punch, so it's going to attack first. And that Facade boost. Oh, with Guts? Yeah, it's gonna do massive damage there. Only problem is it gets blown up. So I was running this lead, messing around with some EVs, IVs, and I took it to test it out on Showdown. And I very quickly realized the problem. Scovillain can take a couple of hits. It's gonna live that first turn probably. And then it can Rage Powder, so it can redirect. Only problem is if they use spread moves, Conkeldurr is going to die. It's just not bulky enough. Or at least the way I was running it was not bulky enough. Yes, it was able to get the Mach Punch up, but then it was dying. I was trying to maybe use an Assault Vest to try to give it some more defense on there, but it just wasn't working out. Scovillain was able to do what it needed to do, burn everybody on the field, get my Guts boost on there. Conkeldurr was just not living enough, and even after the boost, Mach Punch wasn't enough. So, I was going to use Facade, but there are a lot of really fast Pokemon like Sneasler in the format, which were moving before Conkeldurr, which were KOing Conkeldurr. So it just wasn't good to lead these. I had thought about maybe once I got the fire proc on my Conkeldurr, I'd switch it out, but then it just became awkward. You don't want to switch out just willy-nilly. I had to make sure it was a good switch, and there was a lot of times it just didn't feel good to switch it out. The main problem wasn't that I couldn't get the gimmick off. Yes, I was able to get Conkeldurr burn. I was able to get the other Pokemon burn. Problem was, this format, unfortunately, Mach Punch isn't doing enough damage even after the Guts boost. And there are just too many fast Pokemon that can deal with Conkeldurr real quickly. Even with the redirection, Scovillain could only live for so long. It just does not have enough defense to live long enough. And spread moves, they just ate this team alive. Spread moves just completely wiped me out. Alright, and finally, Trick Room. One of my favorite Pokemon is Torkoal, and it is one of the best Trick Room Pokemon on account of how slow and how strong it is. Redraft, of course, is a great setup Pokemon or support Pokemon, and I was trying to pair them together. Redraft has a great ability. You can't use priority moves against it, so no fake out for me. And it's bulky, it can take quite a few hits. Big problem is going to be Taunt. I got taunted so much. And then Torkoal, it's really strong, it's super strong, it's amazingly strong. That eruption, whoo! And then it's gonna win a Weather War outside of Mega. Since it's the slowest Pokemon, its weather goes up last. So outside of Mega Evolution, it can win that Weather War. Big problem is it can't help turn 1. It's so slow. Maybe they won't hit it and you can get off a nice eruption or a heat wave that if they decide to go into it turn 1, it can't do anything. It's going to be absolutely the last Pokemon that moves. And it doesn't learn any support moves, I don't believe. So there's nothing it can really do to try to help out for Redraft turn 1. Now, what was the big downside here? I already said Taunt, but I could just run an herb to prevent myself from getting taunted. Problem is a lot of dark type moves are running around. You get a good knockoff on here, and Redraft is out of here. It can take 2 moves, but it can't take a dark type move. And especially not a dark type and another move. And because Trick Room has negative priority, it's going to go last. So it's not going to be able to do anything about that. So I was running the Cold Burberry. I believe that's the right one to deal with dark type moves. But then I was getting taunted. So it's a mix. Do I risk getting taunted? But I risked taking a dark type move. Dark type moves I felt were a lot more common than taunt, so I was running the dark type berry, but I was still getting taunted a whole lot. And then of course I was trying to see, hey, let's see if they double up into my Giraffe, and then Torkoal will get off a massive move here. But a lot of times they were gonna hit Torkoal. If Torkoal gets below a certain health, Eruption isn't doing very much. You can run Heat Wave, but Heat Wave isn't 100% accurate, so I try to avoid using it as much as possible. And then the second biggest problem with this team is Mega Evolution. Torkoal will win the Weather War outside of Mega Evolution. So in a Terrestrialization format, in a Dynamax format, it's going to win that Weather War. In a Z-move format too. I forgot Z-moves are. But in a Mega Evolution format, unfortunately, Mega Evolution will go after the Pokemon go in, so they're going to override the weather. and they overrode the weather a lot. I can run a move like Solar Beam for coverage, but if they override my sun, unfortunately that Solar Beam's not coming out. Sure, it still does strong damage outside of the weather, but the most common weather I'm feeling like right now is rain outside of sun, and rain reduces fire damage, so my eruption does even less, and my heat wave does even less. And if it misses, oh brother, I just hated missing that move so much. So that was a problem there. Well, I found a pretty easy solution. I just don't lead Torkoal. I was leading Farigiraf, Hatterene, Farigiraf, Incineroar, Farigiraf, Sneasler, something to help out Farigiraf get off its Trick Room. Still, I was getting taunted a whole lot, but with Hatterene especially, Farigiraf, Hatterene, that was a great lead to like guarantee getting Trick Room off. It was just hard for them to determine which one of my two Pokemon was going to Trick Room, who did they taunt, who did they double into. They're both bulky enough that they can take hits. So that was a great lead. Problem there is pivoting. You have to look for a good opportunity to get Hatterene or Farigiraf out and get Torkoal in. Torkoal, he can take a hit, but you don't really want him to take a hit because Eruption does less damage the more damage he takes. So you really want him to always be at 100%. I was trying to run Sinister for that too, but then I was doing a whole lot of switching if I wasn't leading Torkoal. Incineroar solved that problem quite a bit, but I stopped leading Incineroar as much because there's a lot of Milotic and Kingambit and Sneasler around, so you were triggering Sneasler's item, Milotic, and Kingambit's abilities, so I didn't really want to lead Incineroar much anymore. There's just too many Pokemon right now that take advantage of you leading an Incineroar. But I still got Trick Room to work. I found, like I said, my best leads were either Sneasler for a draft or Hatterene for your draft, and that was working great, but Torkoal wasn't shining as much anymore. The big Pokemon at that point was Hatterene and Sneasler. Those were the two MVPs, not so much Torkoal anymore. So these were the 4 of leads that I could not get to work. However, this does not mean that they do not work. Mega Floet and Maushold saw success. I had seen early on that they were seeing a lot of good success. I just personally could not get them to work. Whimsicott and Dragapult are 2 amazing Pokemon. They were just not working well together, and at least not right now. Separately, they are great. They see a lot of success in other areas. Mega Scovillain is seeing a lot of success by itself as a redirection Pokemon, as a Leech Seed Setter, as a person to proc fire on your opponent's Pokemon. It just was not working together with Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr just isn't the right Pokemon for it. I imagine once Ursaluna is in the game, then we're going to see a lot of success with Guts, because Ursaluna, I think, is pretty bulky. It has a good typing, and that Earthquake is just going to do what it needs to do. You might KO your own Scovillain, but that's fine so long as you get the Guts off. And then now, with Ursaluna, you can run another item instead of having to run a Flame Orb. And I think that's going to be really good. But yeah, Scovillain is seeing no success, just not with Conkeldurr. And Trick Room is going great, and I'm personally able to use Trick Room. It's just not working together. That's the problem with Farigiraf and Torkoal. That's not the correct lead I found. The better lead is going to be Incineroar, Sneasler, Hatterene, along with Farigiraf. Sometimes Torkoal can come out at the beginning. Sometimes it is going to be better to come out at the beginning, but just not all the time as the primary lead as I initially wanted it to be. Main point here was I just want to talk about some leads that I couldn't make work. Maybe you see a pair here that you think you can make work, or maybe this inspires you to work on a lead. Maybe here you saw something that I couldn't see, or you'll just look at your own failures and you'll see, hey, it is what it is. It happens. It happens to everybody. Sometimes you really want something to work and you can't make it work out. I'm sure somewhere down the line I'm going to see one of these leads that I made, and someone else is going to have great success with them, and I'm going to see, oh, this is what I was missing. I think I already saw a YouTube video that was using the Conkeldurr Scovillain team. I have to go and find it. I think someone had figured it out. So that's going to be exciting to see. Just had to learn to abandon some teams I couldn't make work, you know. I really, really wanted to try to make a lot of these work. I just couldn't. I had to abandon them and go with something that was fitting better for me. Thank you guys for watching. You guys have a good one.